I pulled this thing up. One of these things I thought was kind of funny, and I didn't want to write them down, but sentences spoken today that would mystify people 20 years ago.
Okay, go ahead.
It's pretty funny. You ready?
Yep.
These are things that we'd say today.
Say today.
And 20 years ago, people would go, what the hell are you talking about? My 128 gigs of storage is tiny. Yep. I store my contacts in the cloud.
I was just thinking 20 years ago, you know, that was, that's the best.
I would think you just left Woodstock and go, what?
You're like, how do you get your contacts up there in the cloud?
I know. Order it off Amazon. It'll be delivered tomorrow.
That's in my daily vernacular. Yeah.
I miss the old New York skyline.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was watching an episode of Friends yesterday, and they showed the Twin Towers, and I was like, wow. Damn, this one only works for 3 more weeks. I'm not sure what that means. I need to plug in my cigarette.
Yeah. Let's go on.
I can't effing believe they let Cosby out of prison after what he did to all those people.
Yeah. There's a lot of those. What's her name? Lori Loughlin.
I don't think the Lori Loughlin thing is ridiculous to me. It's a joke.
Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, Martha Stewart would be. But was Martha Stewart as big as she is now 20 years ago? Did anyone know who Martha Stewart was?
She sure as hell wouldn't have thought she was Snoop Dogg.
I got one because it's been around for 50 years. I can't believe there's a Starbucks on every corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Starbucks has been around since 1971.
Yeah, well, because it was, yeah.
Talk about a business that waited for its time.
Well, and that hit rock bottom, and that it almost went out of business, and yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
We were talking about ideas that we think are just really stupid.
Yep.
When I heard about Uber, I thought this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why did you think? I thought it was genius. Like, I really.
Well, first of all, we have cabs.
No, but see that. Okay, go ahead.
We have cabs. Why in the hell am I going to get in a stranger's car because bad things can happen? And they have.
Yes.
Why in the hell? I would think to myself, are we hurting for cars? Did something happen to the car makers where we can't get? Did something happen where we don't get driver's license anymore at 16? Is there some? This is what I'd be thinking if I just woke up from a 20-year coma.
Right.
I'd be going, did something happen where people can't drive anymore? Do we not have any roads anymore? Are more people flying? Why all of a sudden do we need to have access to rides everywhere we go when we have cars?
Can get back and forth.
Okay, well that's such a small niche. and to my point, Uber's losing $9 billion a year, but it's still and there's 55 other Ubers out there. That's one of those things where if I sat in front of a group of investors and said, I got a great idea. I'm going to create. Well, they'd go, isn't that a cab? It's a cab, right? Well, yeah, but anyone can do it. Well, what do you mean? Anyone could drive Uber.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going down this, you mean like driving a neighbor to the store? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can call me directly and I can give them, I still don't get it. I mean, I get the convenience part of it.
Yeah.
It's like delivery services. I can't effing believe that someone would have a Big Mac delivered to their house. Do we have so much money that we're willing to spend $9 for a Big Mac because my ass is too fucking lazy to drive down the street to get a Big Mac?
But if you're high or drunken in college.
But not everyone's high, drunken in college, Xavier. I just called you Xavier.
Wait. I know. But you know what's enabled that? See, that's the thing.
We have people shopping for each other.
No, but see, that's the thing. What's enabled that is...
We are so convenient based.
Well, because of the technology. Right, because if you think about it, it only works because we have cloud-based technology. It allows us to connect to any one of those things. We talked about this yesterday, the dog walking thing. Where's there a walker in your neighborhood?
I know, right? We never had dog. Well, first of all, we used to never walk our dog. We'd open the door.
Well,
and wait for it to scratch 45 minutes later, we'd bring it in. They would just walk around the neighborhood. Yeah.
I mean, all of it, every single one of it. Well, I don't know, swipe right. Is that on there?
No. I can't wait to see the 3rd Spider-Man movie that will hopefully feature the 2 other famous Spider-Man actors who starred in those other 5 Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Always put your mask on before going into a crowded bank. By the way, Regions is really snippy about that crap.
What do you mean?
First of all, they charge you $5 to cash a Regions check, which I don't get just because if you don't have a Regions account, but I've got a check that's on a Regions check.
What's that got to do with
I
wearing a mask?
I have to pay. Well, I'll tell you. But I went in, I had my cataracts or my eyes dilated or whatever of my eyes, and I had sunglasses on. They made me take my sunglasses off. I was like, I just had my eyes dilated. It's really bright in here. You can't walk in our bank with glasses on. I'm like, seriously? Don't you have that goofy commercial with the green bicycles? And you're telling me I can't wear glasses? But when you walk in with a mask, man, I mean, they freak out a little bit.
Wait a minute. Okay, you lost me. We're in a pandemic. They want you not to have masks on?
I would have thought the bank robberies would have gone up substantially just because people have to wear masks now, but you haven't seen that yet.
Shh.
Because you can still see the eyes. I'm going to make a trip to the weed store and run low.
Yeah.
Had a really interesting conversation. Remind me to bring up. I spend 11 hours a day scrolling through my phone.
Yeah. I've gotten.
Here it is. Uber is when you give a stranger your location over the internet so you can get in their car.
And pay them. Prepay them.
Home Alone 2 has a future U.S. president in the script.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with my pencil. I think its Bluetooth is messed up.
What's a pencil?
They're really right. My kid had to go buy a bunch of number 2 pencils. I said, for what?
That's right. Have you tried? Well, you write a lot. I can't write anymore. I've literally lost my ability to write.
Really?
I mean, I know how, but it's so effortful. I have to pay attention to the letters. Yeah.
I had a woman the other day ask me she wanted to write a letter to my sister. She wanted to write a letter to one of my kids, my daughter. And she's like, can she read cursive?
Yeah.
And I said, gosh, I hope so.
No, they don't.
She's like, they don't do cursive anymore. Hey, Siri.
Or Alexa.
I haven't left my house in 3 months. I wish Disney would quit making Star Wars movies.
That's good.
The 2020 Olympics will be in 2021.
That one, I still can't wrap my head around. We're not delaying. Like, I still, that whole thing is so, like, we had the 2020 Olympics, and it said 2020, but it was 2021. There's something fundamentally wrong with that.
I totally agree with you. It should have been just 2021. Just live it.
So what? So are we?
And I don't want anything associated with 2020. I don't even put 2020 on anything anymore.
So are we going to have 2024 in 5? Or
no,
are we?
No, it'll be.
So we're going a year early.
Yeah.
To get back on track.
Assuming the pandemic's not still here.
When Mark Ingram said we're scheduled out to 2029, the first thought in my mind was, besides, wow, that's a long time, was us sitting here in our society going, we'll be fine in a month or two.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. It'll be good.
Sometimes I miss walking the aisles of movies at Blockbuster. By the way,
there's one
Blockbuster, I think it's in San Francisco, that's still open.
That's one that just went down fast and went away fast.
I'll add anything to do with in-person movie rentals and or streaming content at home. I think a lot of people don't know what that is. Yeah, a lot of this is technology, but it's pretty amazing that 20 years ago, we're going through a crazy time.
Well, who needs a TV?
I do.
No, who needs a TV? You don't need it.
No, you do. And I will tell you why, because there are still a huge influx of TV sales around Super Bowls, and people still enjoy the big screen. I cannot watch. I cannot watch and this is not even me being old.
Yeah, you want to see
I enjoy sitting back and enjoying the movie experience.
Well, now listen. No, I agree with you, and that I don't think that has.
I can't watch my Discovery shows on my phone.
No, it's
uncomfortable.
On the phone. I don't think that's fundamentally changed even in 20 to 30-year-olds. They don't have a problem doing it, but a movie, you watch a movie. That's just a visual human experience thing.
Yeah.
Right. You can watch a movie. I'm amazed on airplanes. Like when I go on an airplane, I'll usually have I don't have an iPad, but I bring my laptop. My laptop's pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
But I do watch people watch an entire movie on a phone, even if it's twisted sideways.
But they have to, because they're on an airplane.
No, you watch on your laptop.
I know, but I mean, if you're on a laptop, I'm going to hook it up to my TV. I'm not going to watch it.
I'm not on an airplane.
No, but I'm saying they're watching it on an airplane because they have to watch it on an airplane. There's not a movie screen in an airplane. There's not a bigger screen to watch.
No, but what I'm saying is a little tiny your phone.
Yeah.
I can't even do that. I can't focus enough.
Yeah.
I told you my one kid, my youngest one, doesn't do. I mean, she has a computer. She uses a computer, but her go-to is her phone for almost anything she wants to do, including when she's high school and schoolwork.
We were watching some old college football.
We got to change.
No, we watched some old college football stuff from like 1989 or something. It wasn't that long ago. It looks horrible. Mm-hmm. And my son said, man, they don't give the yardage. They don't give the thing. And I said, you know why? And he goes, why? I said, because you can't see it. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, back in the day, 27-inch tube TV was the biggest TV you could get. It was $899, and if you had a 27-inch television, it was about 400 pounds. You were the shit, man. You were it. People were coming over to your house. Then you had projection TVs, which were really grainy, but it was still the biggest thing you could. I had one down here. I had a projection screen TV when I moved down here in
4,000 pounds.
Yeah, and I ended up selling it. But and now it's like, but I mean that's another reason, because if you look at, like, our TV went out a couple of years ago. And so I had a 27-inch flat screen that I put upstairs. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the score. I don't know if we're sitting further away from our TVs now because they're bigger. Now we have entertainment rooms and we have stadium seats and stuff in our basements.
HD and the ratios are better.
But I'm sitting there, I'm looking, and I'm like, I couldn't see the score on this 20. I said, this TV's too small. And I was like, 20 years ago, that was the monster. That was like the TV. Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no good.
No, I was going to ask you. So classic rock. So I think this is interesting on music. The whole digitally remixed.
Yeah.
Is it better?
Not really. I mean,
but you played. All right. So
how much more clear does it need to be?
Well, that's what I mean. So you've been through. You're old. You've been through each of the genres, right? You spun records.
What really bothers me is when they change the arrangement, when they add guitars. And there's things in the original, and I'm kind of like, what is that?
Yeah,
that drives me crazy. Now, sometimes there may be a version of a song, and then another version comes out like 5 years later, and that ends up being the version everyone plays. I think about Legs, when the original Legs came out from ZZ Top, and then 5 years later they came out with the greatest hits, and they had a different arrangement. It was actually better. It was like Godfather 2 as opposed to Godfather 1. But then when they come out with if they want to, they're just digitally remastering everything so they can add some new material and sell more records.
But what about just in the movement from records? So how did it go in the radio industry? You spun records.
Yeah.
Then what?
45s. And then we went LPs, 33 and thirds. And then I remember the first CD we got in when I was working in Louisville, Kentucky was a Def Leppard record. It was a Pyromania, I think, was the first CD that we got in our studio. Right. And we were all stoked about it because stereophonically it did sound superior. It was going to sound better over the air.
Right.
You could hear some things that perhaps you couldn't hear on the LP. It was great. But there were a lot of people that didn't like it because it wasn't the way music was meant to be heard. And the big one was the Beatles. When the Beatles started coming out, because a lot of their stuff was mono.
Yeah.
And it was stereophonic. It was separating things. Or like, this is not the way the Beatles were meant to be heard. And I would make the argument, well, that's not the way the Beatles could do it back then.
That's right.
Back in the early 60s, Love Me Do wasn't meant to be heard that way. But it did sound differently. And then the more people listened to it, it was like finding technology.
So then, so help me understand this one. Mm-hmm. So you went from records, LPs, and then you went to CDs.
Yeah.
But the rest of us in between, who weren't in the radio industry, we had cassettes.
Yeah.
What happened? Cassette?
You couldn't play cassettes on the radio because you couldn't cue them up. Now we did have tape.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So where does tape?
At one point, but we had reel to reels that you could actually, you could actually cue them up because you have to hit the first note.
So reel to reels before LPs.
Reel to reels before LPs.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you had okay.
And LPs, just so people will know, you put it on a turntable, you would back it up a quarter spin, On 45s, you had to go a half spin.
Right.
But you go a quarter of a spin, and you left the pot down. The pot was the volume. Whether you had a turn pot or a slider, you leave it down when you hit the button, because if you didn't, you could hear the turntable engage on the air. You hear that. Ook.
Yep.
So you'd hit it and turn it up. Hit it, push it up.
Look at that.
Oh man, we were good with our fingers.
Yeah.
There was when I was in high school. I had to go from introducing a record that I queued up, then play a phone call on a reel-to-reel, then go back into another turntable, and then hit a cart. And I had to do it all within 2 minutes. And it was like, there's no way in hell I could do that. And I failed. I failed that part of my test. But now it's like, now you can leave the room for 45 minutes. Hearing the record skip at the end, it's because you're out smoking a big fat doobie in Hamilton, Ohio when you're 19 years old. I wasn't. Or I was on a drug run for my afternoon guy, Bo Reynolds.
You just do your whole show. The Tony Curry Archives.